This is B. Venki, and I got a couple of slides put together about a recent cycling trip I did. I decided to take off a month from work and go cycling. And at the end of the month, I realized I covered about 2,500 kilometers, and I reached Pushkar. So this is about some people I met during the journey. So here we go. When I started off, this was somewhere in Zahirabad. There were these kids who stopped me. They stopped in an auto. They were going in an auto. They came out and said, "कहाँ जा रहे जी?" नहीं मालूम. कहीं को जा रहे जी? ऐसी अरे ऐसी जा रहे कते? So I think that was pretty much the answer I had for them, and I had for myself and for anybody else who asked the same question. And nights I spent at places wherever I could find a place to stay. This was at a Gurudwara in Bidar, Nanak Jhira, and spent the time looking at what they did out there. People who read the Granth, children out there who perform Kar Seva, and some very interesting people doing very interesting things. The next day I spent at the Ashto tombs. I was with one of the descendants of the Bahmani kings. He lives subsistence life out there. He's mortgaged his land and he fights a court case to preserve his heritage. That's him, and that's the Dargah. Women also come there for children. This was somewhere on the rolling hills around Madhya Pradesh or Maharashtra. This is Ainuddin and Rajesh, who stopped me on the way, came running behind me. I didn't want to speak to them for a while, but then I realized they were pursuing me for about 50 meters. So I decided to stop, spend some time with them. And they had a lot of questions about my cycle. And sometimes I was just cycling, following the sunshine. So I call my cycling theme Chasing Sunshine. So every day I would wake up in the morning and see where I would meet sunset towards the end of the day. So these were a couple of snapshots of sunshines in my day. This is an unsung hero. His name is Bugdane. He's been fighting for the last 30 years, preserving this lake called Lonar, which is a crater which many people don't know much about, and there's a heritage around it, a lot of monuments. He pretty much put his life savings fighting court cases, warding off land grabbers, an unsung hero. It was the beginning of monsoons, so you had people in their farms and fields pretty much clearing their fields, praying to the gods. This was in Maharashtra, this is Vidarbha region, and I think the faith in gods is what takes them through the season, because they don't know whether it'll rain, whether they can pay the pawnbroker the money they take as a loan, whether they'll actually have something. Interesting people I hung out with, spent time in their fields. The whole family comes out, and a lot of families actually invited me to have food with them. I spent days having food in the fields with them and talking about how they go about farming. I think government policies have pretty much screwed up a lot of things here. And there are some days where I would just want a cold shower. So I would do nothing but go places where I could just have a cold shower in nature, where it's a borewell or a spring. And you have people on the road who stopped me because I was in the newspaper the night before, so the day before. The man with the pink bicycle who decided to educate his girl child, and she was promised a bicycle by the Maharashtra government in her 7th grade. She got it when she was in the 10th grade. She got the bicycle, she finished school, she stopped studying. So the bicycle is now used for collecting wood. That's his life. And yet another day, chasing sunshine. This was evening sandas. Friends coming together, going out. And they all sit down, that's their social get-together, taking a dump together. And I found it quite interesting, romantic. So another day, night cycling was unsafe. So this is Manik Chand, who taught me at a village called Chandas. He called all his friends. They all served me dinner from home, and they entertained me out there. The guy talking about film dialogues. And they were quite curious to see why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I spent the night at a temple out there with a Pandit who allowed me to stay in the temple. He made me tea in the morning. This is his morning wake-up system for the village. He starts off, and he used to be a traveling singer. He came settled out here. He's from Rajasthan. And there are many such people who do some great work in the name of faith. And this is Vijay, who I got to spend a day, 2 days with, a day with in Melghat Forest Reserve. An artist. He was gifted a horse when he was a kid. So he keeps it in the forest, lives there. He was my tour guide in the forest. He knew the forest in and out. And his dream is to rear the pony and take it out on a Tonga someday when he can afford and travel the country. So the Melghat Forest Reserve, where I discovered how scary loneliness can be. There were rock falls, punctured flat tires. Life can be pretty much, you pretty much move with life at snail's pace, and sometimes you have to just go with it. And I think you always look at the brighter side. Another day, when things get better, because I was pretty much cussing. The day was in the forest, and again chasing sunshine, going about, meeting people. And I think pretty much sunshine was what was keeping me going every day, morning to evening. This is Pandit Santosh Joshi. He told me, आप यहीं पे रहोगे आज, शाहजहाँपुर बस स्टैंड आपका घर है, साइकिल यहीं पे बाहर पे छोड़ दो, कुछ नहीं होगा, हम देख लेंगे. That was faith. I left the cycle unlocked and it stayed the whole night. I went for a movie. I was happy. And a journalist asked me, he called a journalist and said, इनका लो फोटो, कहाँ जा रहे हो, क्यों जा रहे हो, लिख दो यार, अनेकता में एकता ढूंढने जा रहा है. Then this is Muhammad Zakir at Abu Lala Dargah in Ajmer, where people come with all their problems in life, and he showed me around the place, and I told him, what do you want in exchange? He said, बस आपका दुआ दे दो, बस कुछ नहीं चाहिए. This was the longest day, Ajmer, which was National Highway 8. Pretty much I screwed up my knees almost. This was about 200 kilometers plus in one day. And I realized in what industrialization development does. Going on an expressway is like pretty much going on a treadmill for 200 kilometers. I mean, you're going nowhere. Everything looks the same. And this was my end point, Pushkar, where religion meets commerce. You have Israeli thali, you have five-legged cows, and you have Picasso, who is India's Picasso, and everyone who can do anything. That's my... Thank you.